Got a dream in a tear last night. Watched the world fade out of sight. Seen the ghosts of time preside. Eagles soared and falcons cried. Sleeping phoenix on a rise. Abundance and strange the skies. Strange the skies.
Hello, and welcome to Phoenix Rising. One of the things that I want to share with you today is the new courses that I'm going to be offering starting in January in the second semester here at Jovian Archive. And I think one of the courses that is really the most fascinating for me is called Rave Sociology. And it's really about understanding the implications of what the holistic possibilities are for a human being and what the world around us does to transform us into not self, into being homogenized. Rave sociology is really the study of penta and wa. These are transauric forms. And transauric forms that have an enormous influence on the way in which we operate. Forms that emerge as we begin to gather in numbers. They have an enormous impact on our lives. This past semester, I taught an introduction to rave sociology, and now I'm about to begin the first full program in exploring this extraordinary framework. It is this framework that takes you away from the possibility of transformation in your life. It is the glue that holds the homogenized world together. It is the very frame of it. To grasp it, to see it, to understand its impact in us through family, through education, through our work, is to begin to recognize how important it is as we move to this time in which, the cross of planning comes to an end and we enter into a new era of the sleeping phoenix, how important it is to be able to operate according to your own authority, to your own authority. The most astounding thing about any study in rave sociology is recognizing how helpless humanity is without education, without the serendipity that a door can be opened for them, that they can see how they are lost in that frame, and that any possibility for their unique life, is lost with it. And for those of you that are interested, you can find the course here listed at Jovian, and you can take a look at the data that's there. I'm also going to be doing something that is very new in terms of the development and analytical work in human design. And that is something called a holistic analysis session. Holistic analysis is very profound. It takes all of the information from the substructure in a design, that is from the design and personality side, the colors, the tones, the bases. It is a very profound way of looking into somebody's nature, and particularly, and exclusively in that sense, for those people that are operating according to their strategy and authority, who are really experimenting with the knowledge. And that holistic analysis is something that can be quite transforming. I'm going to be offering private sessions to basically 30 people. And the only other time that I've ever done this was with my holistic analyst students who I trained in this technique. And it's an extraordinary thing to do, both as the one who's doing the analysis, in that case me, and for those that are on the other end. So it's a very interesting program, and again, one that you can take a look at. The real theme for me today in our show is really this grasping how important it is for you to find the trust you need in following your own authority. It is this authority that is really protecting you, protects you from the conditioning influences that are all around you. It is simple when you confront it. That is strategy and authority. There is no guarantee that it is easy, but truly it is worth it because you're worth it. Uniqueness is something that needs to be expressed on this plane. Your uniqueness, your possibility as a human being. But anyway, on with the show.
Welcome to Phoenix Rising, to this segment, sharing, empowering, and supporting. And the first thing to recognize about, those, what makes the deepest difference in, the orientation of the experiences of those three keynotes, in essence, is the relationship that they have to the heart center, to the human ego, to the ego, which is in truth what makes us human. You see, when we look at the collective circuit group of sharing, and you look at the logic and the abstract together, when I introduce this circuit group in any course that I'm teaching, I always start in the same place. I always start by what is not part of that circuit group. What, in that sense, has nothing to do with sharing. And when you look graphically at the collective circuit group, what you see, there is this open heart. There is this ego center. So we know where this dark reputation that the ego has for humanity as a whole, collectively. The human heart, the deep mysteries that the human heart holds, the moment you want to decode it through collective awareness, because you see, collective means that, it's for everyone. It's for everyone. Whereas the heart, there is nothing more personal in a human design configuration, whether it is defined or not, than the heart center, because the heart center is all about the well-being of our body. Why do you think that the open heart center is the absolute number one when it comes to the distortive power of conditioning? Sharing, you see. It is not a matter of, what you think you share or what you think you don't share or what you think you should share or not, because, the only way to share with wisdom is to realize this open heart and what it represents, that it represents the material plane. Meaning that, that's what we share. In essence, you can call it many things, but we share the mundane plane. And it's not personal that we all have to do with the mundane plane, and in there, we all have to be egoists. Now, see, whatever collective definitions you have in your design, you see, don't worry about what you share and what you don't share, what you should share, what you shouldn't share. Just operate correctly. Because the moment you operate correctly, anchored in your inner authority and in the way it gets expressed through the strategy of your type, you will not be, focused on sharing or not sharing. Whatever you have to share, you will share, and you will share it correctly, because basically what you share is the mundane circumstance in which you are constantly surrounded by others. There is no control in what you share and what you don't. There is no choice. There's no choice. But you see, it's about being in the flow. And it's about turning the sharing of the mundane plane into an experience of constant discovery. But that's, you need to be in touch with yourself, with your type, with your strategy, because it is only your type and your strategy that knows how to care for you on the mundane plane in a way that, whatever it is that you share, it always remains in a plane where it is never personal.
Hello, and welcome to your weekly Neutrino weather forecast. And the word for this week is busy. Busy, 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 busy. We have a Sun Earth 2034 And the channel of 2034 is the channel of charisma, where thoughts become deeds. This is the true manifesting generator channel. And everything about this channel is about its potential to be able to respond, and to be able to respond with real power. It's rooted in the 34th gate, the gate of power. And the 20th gate is the gate of contemplation. It's the gate of the now. This is the release of power, of energy in the now. Busy, 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 busy. If you look at the 2034, it's part of a system that's called the integration channels. The 20, the 10, the 34, and the 57. The 2034, the 20th gate is the I am gate. And the 34 says, I am now, I have power. But the 10th gate is about behavior. The 2034, without the 10, this is power in the now, energy in the now, without the control of behavior. And without the 57, the only gate that's in an awareness center, a gate of intuition, there is no awareness behind the action. The way in which this works in the world is that you're going to have, well, a very, very, very busy time. And a lot of people, particularly projectors, this is certainly a week for you to really beware. That is, you can be over-energized and you can end up being exhausted. And at this time of the year, very easily you can become vulnerable to the flu or, the typical winter cold, whatever it may be. There are some nice things that are out there. I mean, it isn't to say that being busy cannot be productive. It can. Follow your strategy and authority. But there are some interesting things. The Pluto in 58.1, this beautiful line in the joyous, that is the love of life, and the fact that the nodes, being in the 10 and the 15, they're really going to point us towards the general behavior of humanity. This is the window that we're looking out of this week. But most of all, protect your energy system. For all the projectors and manifestors and reflectors who are non-sacral beings, this can be a week that truly can be overtaxing. So be aware of how you enter into any activity and do so as yourself. And remember, when you're operating according to your strategy and authority, the weather is for your pleasure. Bye for now. One of the many things that I talk about in terms of what it is to be a nine-centered being is to understand the beauty and the possibility of what mind is. When you begin your experiment with following your strategy and authority, you enter into a whole new experience of what the mental plane is really all about. It's not about your mind worried about this or that. It isn't about your mind being obsessed with what the next move is. It begins to become a tool of measurement. It begins to become the foundation of what's possible as awareness. And one of the things about the nine-centered being and its binary consciousness is that the design consciousness is for operating the body, the life. But the personality consciousness, this is all about the potential of outer authority. That is the beauty of mind when it can express its unique experience. So much about the nature of being is about communication. If you look at the rave body graph, the first thing that you can really notice is how everything moves towards the throat center. We're really about communicating. It's what makes us so special in that sense, in terms of our place in the food chain, our relationship to our mammalian cousins, and the difference in the way in which we function because of the sophistication of our communication. How much we can, in essence, share with the other through this extraordinary tool. Yet think about communication. The vast majority of human beings who are not self, who live in the homogenized world, their mind both makes the decisions in their life as well as does the communicating. It becomes a mind that's trapped with trying to protect its own trajectory. It's a mind that in the end becomes expression that is never fully truthful. this communicating with each other, this is really at the key of what's possible for us in awareness. And there is something really fascinating to think about. How different your awareness is and the way in which it can operate when you're with somebody else, or if somebody else walks into the room, or if you're in a crowded place. The reality is that the only true communion can take place between two beings, in the connection that is there between them. It is one of the most basic things that I have taught professionals in human design, is that you can only transform a life one being at a time, only one being at a time. This is the true nature of communion. The moment you try to tell the truth, quote unquote, to a penta, to 3 or 4 or 5 people, that truth suddenly is changed in the way in which it's expressed. When you have the same experience in a large group, it changes even more. Conditioned by the environment around it, conditioned by the transauric forms that dominate it. True communion, it's between you and me. It's between you and the other. One being at a time.
Got a dream in a tear last night, watched the world fade out of sight. Seen the ghosts of time preside, eagles soared and falcons cried. Sleeping phoenix on the rise. Abundance and strange the skies.